And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSIServices Talking Business. Enjoyed being at the Business Council of Westchester Power Breakfast this morning, sponsored by Tompkins Mahopac Bank, titled Are You Ready for Marketing 2020? Moderator was Elizabeth Bracken Thompson, partner Thompson and Bender, and panelists and Jordan-Duffy from Westfair Communications, John Plesser, digital marketing consultant at Reach, local USA Today, and Ronnie Ram, president and CEO Inspiria Outdoor Advertising, based in White Plains. Also in White Plains, Elena Rivera-Cheek, chief creative officer and owner, Copy and Art Advertising. Chris St. Lawrence, public partnerships manager at Quickframe, and David Vogel, chief executive officer, Video SEO Pro Incorporated. We appreciate Marsha Gordon, the CEO of the Business Council of Westchester, and John Rav, a longtime friend, allowing CBSI to videotape today's event. And we hope you enjoy this.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Marsha and everyone from Business Council for having us here again today. We're thrilled to be back as the sponsor of this event for another year. Everyone at Tompkins Mahopac Bank, very excited about that opportunity. As Marsha stated, my name is Matthew Farrell. I'm a commercial loan officer for Tompkins Mahopac Bank. This year, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to ask one of our partners at the bank to kick off future meetings with a brief description about what they do specifically and how they help business owners such as yourselves and what they do in the community, just to help you get a picture of all the different ways Tompkins Mahopac Bank can help within our business and the community. So you won't always be hearing from me every meeting. But since this is our first meeting of the year, I just wanted to take 2 minutes to give you a general overview of the bank. As a nearly $7 billion organization, Tompkins has all of the technology that the larger banks have, and with that technology, we're able to bring deposit, cash management, and fraud protection services to meet our business needs and our clients' business needs. But what makes us unique in the market is that we deliver these services with a community bank approach. Relationships with our clients mean a great deal to us, and we take those responsibilities and those relationships very seriously by often going above and beyond to meet whatever needs our clients may have. In addition to deposit and cash management services, we provide a full array of commercial lending to help your business achieve its goals. Last year, we originated $140 million in new commercial business loans in the Hudson Valley, of which more than $90 million were based here in Westchester County. We also do a great deal of volunteer work and community support throughout Westchester. For example, Tompkins Mahopac has been supporting the Greater New York Cystic Fibrosis Foundation for over 25 years. We help with local food banks, Habitat for Humanity, Guiding Eyes, local pet shelters. Our employees love helping out in our communities and look forward to continuing that tradition in the new decade. So in closing, just want to thank you once again for the opportunity to continue to support the breakfast, and we'll be available at our table after the meeting to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
I want to just say that Tompkins Mahopac Bank is such a fabulous partner to the Business Council of Westchester, and I know a fabulous partner to so many businesses of all sizes with special expertise in small business lending as well. So thank you for your commitment, thank you for all you do, and please visit them. It's my job today to kick off this panel by introducing our moderator. She's a member of our board of directors, and her name, I think you all know, Elizabeth Bracken Thompson. She's a partner at Thompson and Bender. Thompson and Bender was founded in 1987. The agency is the region's premier advertising and public relations firm. As a partner in the firm, Liz is responsible for a wide variety of clients representing a broad spectrum of business sectors, including Fortune 500 firms, bank and financial institutions, education institutions, not-for-profits, hospital and healthcare institutions, travel and hospitality, senior residential living, commercial and real estate development, among others. Thompson & Bender was voted the best advertising, PR, and social media agency in Westchester, and all the materials that you see at the BCW is because they are our agency of record. It's my pleasure to introduce Liz, who will introduce the rest of the panelists.
Thank you so much, Marsha. I'm so thrilled to be here today. on this rainy Friday. I wanted to start by talking about the year 2020, which, as we all know, is the year of clear vision. Seeing new opportunities, dropping old beliefs, finding new pathways for building more focused and more successful businesses. And we have put together an incredible panel of experts here with us today who are going to share their insights into the newest and most effective marketing trends for the year ahead. So let me introduce them to you now. First, starting here to my left, is Ronnie Ram, president and founder of Inspiria Outdoor, a White Plains-based outdoor advertising firm with experience executing more than 1,000 campaigns since its inception in 2007. Ronnie is a seasoned entrepreneur who, prior to starting Inspiria, worked as a marketing consultant in Chicago and as the sales VP and partner with a New York City firm. Ronnie is responsible for the overall strategy and development of Inspiria Outdoor. His clients range from local small businesses, like many in the audience here today, to large entities like PBS and Columbia University. Their firm's goal is to substantially increase their clients' awareness and exposure to their key market areas. Please welcome Ronnie Ram.
Thank you.
And sitting next to Ronnie is Jordan-Duffy, who's associate publisher of Westfair Communications and oversees all the sales and marketing for the company's publications, which we all know so well: Westchester County Business Journal, Fairfield County Business Journal, and WAG Magazine. Today, the business journals are flourishing and bringing local business news to more than 85,000 readers each week in Westchester, the Hudson Valley, and Fairfield County, as well as nearly 280,000 readers each month on their digital platform. Similarly, the WAG reaches more than 132,000 affluent and influential readers, and this unique, relevant, and glamorous magazine consistently is named Best Magazine by the New York Press Association. Please welcome Jordan-Duffy. Representing video is David Vogel, president of SEO Video Pro, a White Plains-based video marketing and full-service video production company that helps businesses get more leads, more customers by creating videos that sell. David started his career in Hollywood in feature films and in visual effects, and then he spent the next 15 years editing national TV commercials in New York City before starting Video SEO Pro. Video SEO Pro takes a strategic approach to video, solving real problems for businesses around lead generation, sales conversion, training, and business productivity. And David believes that we all have a story to tell, and that through those stories we can build connections that can cause positive change. So please welcome David Vogel. Next to David is Elena Rivera-Cheek, Chief Creative Officer and owner of Copy and Art Advertising. Founded in 2011, Copy and Art is based in White Plains, and the creative visionary behind it all is Elena. She is known for helping her clients by taking the time to fully understand their needs, deliver focused, mindful, creative, and strategic service. This includes strategy and brand planning, market research, brand identity and development, and digital and social media design and execution. All of Copy and Art's work is designed to help move the needle for their clients. Please welcome Elena. And then representing our digital marketing area is John Plesser, who is Senior Digital Marketing Consultant and a recognized leader for Reach Local, which is part of the USA Today network. His work is both B2B and B2C and focuses on digital strategy, marketing, and content creation. John's deep insight into the intricate sales cycle for both digital and traditional business models provides immense value in product and brand strategy, with a focus on building enduring client relationships through complex problem solving and team building. And John who I've worked with many times over the years, helps his clients achieve their corporate objectives. Welcome, John Plesser. And finally, last but not least, is Christopher St. Lawrence, manager of Quickframe, a New York City-based intelligent video platform. Chris has a decade of government, economic development, and municipal marketing experience, having worked for Empire State Development and the cities of Yonkers and New Rochelle. I had the pleasure of working with Chris when he was in Yonkers. He's an award-winning photographer and content producer, and he takes a creative approach to marketing campaigns and solving challenges. Let's give them all a round of applause. I'm just going to set the stage for today's discussion by talking about the customer journey. And if you think about today's customer, all of that they're looking starts with a thought, a need or a want, and then next comes, how do I find it? How do I buy it? It may start with PR, it may start with Google, then onto an ad, a video, a social post, but it's all part of the integrated customer journey that requires multi-touch marketing at different phases as you're talking to them and connecting with them. And in this rapidly changing media world, we have so many new platforms and channels in which to engage with our prospects, from PR to outdoor to print to radio and TV to online and social. And through these multiple touch points, we are always leading that customer to the end purchase of a product or a service, aren't we? So here are the questions. How do we find those customers? And then how do we use marketing to attract and engage those customers? And the answers to these questions are the building blocks for any creative, successful customer journey and marketing strategy, which we're going to explore today. And so I'm going to begin by asking all of our panelists the same question. We'll start with Ronnie. What is the newest trend in the field of outdoor advertising, Ronnie?
Hi, good morning. So most of you have been, I'm sure, on a highway or at a train station. One of the things that you've probably seen over the past 10 years is a conversion from regular billboards and platform ads to digital, and that's by far the biggest thing that's happening in the outdoor world. But I think coming back to your introduction, I think it all starts with a belief as marketers or as company owners that getting our brand out there is going to make a difference, right? So the first thing is, if you believe that if people know who you are and see you, that'll help you get more business, that's where it all starts. So digital advertising was, I think, from the landlord or the owner side, was really about how do I generate more revenue dollars. But from the customer side, how you can advertise, there's two really, really great things that are happening. One is you can execute a campaign very, very quickly. So if you call us up on a Monday and say, I want to be on a Times Square billboard on Wednesday, that's possible. That wasn't possible before. It can take 2 to 3 weeks to execute a campaign. And the second thing I'd say to kind of think about with anything digital in terms of outdoor or some others is the ability to use multiple creatives. So if you want to change a message, you can do that very quickly. From a budgeting standpoint, we just did a campaign for Lung Cancer Research Foundation in multiple markets. They had part of their budget came from hospitals to support an awareness of this terrible disease, and part of it came from was designed to be a call to action. How do we get people to a specific walk? So using digital, they're able to literally split that real estate and say, here's the ad creative A and creative B. Let's play this one to really grow awareness and focus on hospitals, and let's grow this one to focus on communities to get them to the walk.
Really interesting trend, yeah, and having done this for many, many years, you're right, it would have taken a month by the time you get into production and get up on the billboard, but that's really a fabulous new trend. And turning to Anne, what is the newest trend in your field?
I would have to say the speed of which newsmaking is being reported. You know, 20 years ago when I started at Westfair, you know, when Wednesday nights were always really late nights. You remember, because it was press night and you would only have one shot of doing your print publications. Now we have news at noon going out every day, like six times a week now. And we are constantly putting out news stories, so the pressure is there. And, you know, we used to have people, would call and say, we need an ad, but they wouldn't see it for another 10 days. So to Ronnie's point, yeah, we can do exclusive e-blasts, we can do advertorials, that's a big change too. So I would say the two biggest changes in the print publication industry is that we are able to take print and make it digital daily. And the second thing is a lot of advertisers and clients, they want to get a message out there, they want to tweak it themselves, and we have to call that an advertorial. We'll demarcate it so that the readers know that it's an advertorial, but that's basically sponsored content. So,
Absolutely.
So, but also one thing, thank you for putting me on the panel. I appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't have had it any other way. And David, tell us about the newest trends in video.
Sure. So there's quite a few actually. Ronnie was talking about billboards to getting to know you. Vlogging has become very hot, and more businesses are using it. If you look at what's happening on YouTube with YouTubers or any of the video bloggers, and you look at the beauty industry with what's happening there with individuals talking about products online, showing how to use these products, and these individuals are making a considerable amount of money by doing this. And what do we take away from that as a business is that YouTube is a great platform to share information. That number two, if you share information about products or services, people will trust you. And then third, if you build that trust with people, they will buy from you. And these individuals are selling lots of merchandise through this platform, and the manufacturers are endorsing them. Another thing that's really hot today is live video. We have live video on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You even have it on LinkedIn now. And live video, for those of you not using live video, you have 3 times, people stay 3 times longer, and they have 6 times the engagement. So these platforms are giving preference to this content. So if you think you're creating your own content, think about creating it live first, because you'll get much more market penetration. The other thing, and you might have seen this at the Super Bowl, is interactive video. Interactive video, there was a P&G, a Procter & Gamble spot that showcased Bounty, Febreze, Charmin. There were several brands mentioned there. They made an online spot where individuals will go on the internet, they want to interact with content today. So if you web develop, anyone's building websites, you want it to be interactive. Video takes it to that next level. So what they did is they created a spot that literally every 15 seconds, they give the individual on that buyer's journey, you talked about the buyer's journey, a choice to interact with that content. Where do you want to go with this content? Now, P&G has deep pockets. Of course, that was a pretty extensive campaign, but what can we learn from that? Well, with YouTube, you can actually create the same thing for your brand. You create a blog post about a product or service you have. You're an IT professional, you're talking about threats to your server. You can now create a video, give a person a choice, use end cards in a video on YouTube, and allow them to click and decide where they want to go with that content based on what's important to them.
Yeah, it's about touching and engaging with your prospect many different ways. Elena, I want to hear about the newest trends in social media, which I know is one of your strengths at your agency. It's so hot. What are the newest trends?
So first, thank you for inviting me. It's a privilege to talk to you guys today. I think social media is very interesting. I think we can talk about trends as far as innovation in marketing and social, like augmented reality or virtual reality, or things that kind of change the environment for a brand and a consumer. But honestly, I think the biggest trend in social is the way that marketers are interfacing with social. It used to be, marketers were, for a little while, hoping social would go away. And kind of like, wait, can we just stick to traditional? And I get it, I kind of was hoping it would go away too, to be honest. But it's not going away. It is actually becoming more and more kind of a touch point for the consumers that all of us want to hit. And so I think the approach is the innovation here. So the approach is now, and should be moving toward, for you guys in the audience, authenticity. Because social media is one of the easiest, most efficient, and cheapest ways to connect with someone who might want what you're offering. And that's really important. So, you know, I think we see brands, used to be an agency like ours or Liz's or anybody's here would create this vision for a brand. It represented what you wanted to be in the market. Social media has kind of chipped away at that, where now your brand has to reflect who you actually are. Because if you sell something to the consumer via branding, and somebody goes into your restaurant or deals with one of your real estate agents, and they don't have a great experience, you're gonna hear about it. It's gonna be all over social. They've made it really easy to be, you know, kind of a microphone for what the reality of brands are. So I think a trend toward authenticity in social and using it in that way, it doesn't have to be polished and beautiful, like a lot of what we create. Honestly, we recommend to our clients, organic. Be who you are, so that when your consumers interact with you, they have an experience that mimics exactly what they just saw on Facebook.
Authenticity, absolutely. And John, our digital expert, so what are the trends we see in digital?
Thanks for having me here. So, you know, digital, that's a loaded question because it's changing every minute. But I think really the biggest trend right now is the accessibility to content and the data behind it. So everyone's talking about the content that they're creating, whether it's video, we're going to talk about, you know, just images or social media, but behind all of that is the data that comes with it, right? So when we start to think about our consumers, is in the past it was only available to the big companies, but now all these different demand side platforms are available, and really what's coming to small businesses is the curated ability to have interaction with audiences that once before was really hard to find. So if you want to go and you want to find, you know, a consumer who just purchased a brand new Mercedes, and that person might be going on a trip, and that person might be, you know, buying a new house, whatever the content is, wherever they're engaging in all the content that these guys are creating, it's available in data platforms, and those data platforms gives small businesses the ability now to target your audience directly. No more wastes, no more thinking about, you know, let's buy a big campaign, we're going to brand to everyone. That's still important because people still need to know who you are, but when you take it to the next level is being able to go and find exactly who you're looking for when they're in their journey, right? So Elizabeth talked about the journey. The customer journey now starts everywhere, right? And you talked about it could be a need, it could be they want something, they have a busted pipe this morning in their house, whatever that might be. They might search, they might go onto social, they might be looking at a video, a how-to on YouTube. They might look at a piece of content that came out from Westfair. Doesn't matter, but that content is creating data for people like myself and for you, and accessible to you, that gives you the ability to go and buy that data, right? Buy that data and use it so that your marketing budgets are spending money specifically for your audiences, not just the whole marketplace.
Yeah,
so,
really targeted.
You know, it's really hard in digital to say what's changing, but everything's changing, right? Every second, every minute. You know, there's something called the Luma chart. It used to have like 10,000 companies on it. Now it's got like 2 million companies on it. So it's constantly changing. Someone's coming out with new technology. But at the end of the day, data is king. It really is. It's about understanding how to use it and where it's going, right? And there's a lot of platforms for that. We can talk about that later, but that's really what's changing, is the accessibility for data for small businesses to use in digital marketing. And that's where you need to start really thinking about in 2020, is how to use that data. And
we're going to drill down into that a little bit later. And that's a great segue, data, to Chris, because I know you have sort of a technology-focused video company. So maybe you could talk about what you see as the latest trends on your platform.
Thank you, Liz. Hello, everybody. So Quickframe, basically, to understand what Quickframe is, you have to understand what it was trying to solve. So Quickframe took a look at the video production market and saw the exponential growth in demand. So in the next 2 years, 82% of consumer traffic will be in the form of video, and that's up 15 times since 2017. So, and that's just going to continue to grow. Facebook calls it the 3-second audition, and if any of you guys have millennials in your house, you probably understand how hard it is to get their attention. I'm actually the oldest one in the office, of about 60, so it's a little unnerving to have a conversation sometimes. So back to Quickframe. Quickframe views video as the future, and our approach to it is through a marketplace. So we looked at the traditional video process took a step back and said it's too much money, it takes too long to make videos, where do you start? And so Quickframe started a marketplace of over 5,000 creators in 40 countries. So our ability to not only scale video, but to turn video around very quickly is limitless. Just to give you an idea, last year we made 25,000 videos, and we make videos for brands, publishers, and now we're getting into the public sector, governments, and campaigns. And the latest trend, just to add to the marketplace and the production capacity, is, and to tag off of John's data comment, is that we have a video analytics tool that actually looks at each frame of a video and links the metrics and the pinpoints in that video to performance. So at the end of the day, we're taking subjectivity out of video and allowing you to produce video from an intelligence, from a learned perspective.
That is truly amazing, and I've had the opportunity to see what you do, and it is really revolutionary. I'm going to, now that we have sort of a level playing field on newest trends, I'm going to ask specific questions about each of your industries, and obviously starting with you, Ronnie. Outdoor, and outdoor is billboards and bus shelters and all the moving buses we see, and Times Square and kiosks, etc. So what are the types of clients that do better with outdoor advertising versus others? And then how do you target your customer specifically through outdoor?
Thank you. So the first part of the question was what type of customer. So it starts with really, I guess, two things. One is understanding the lifetime value of your client. And I think for everybody that's either a business owner here or works in a business, that simply put is what kind of revenue dollars or profit is generated by an average client, and how long do I typically keep that client, right? So if you don't know that, it's really hard to structure a marketing plan, no matter who you're working with on the panel. So that's a great start first. So it's not about how much money you have. First of all, I want to kind of get that out there, because there are plenty of clients that we have that spend $600 a month at their local train station. It's about understanding what value is. And the second part is about what your campaign goal is. So when we talk about the customer journey, it starts with either awareness or research. You may not even have a need, but the premise is that you want to educate people before they're ready to make a decision that you are the brand that they want to connect with. So there are mass audience options for outdoor, and there's very targeted. And I think that is possibly a misconception. So when you want to target, let's say, an upscale mom, you may say, okay, well, how do I target that person? Well, maybe we want to target health clubs, maybe we want to target malls. But you know what, that person also may be doing other things. Are they commuting from a specific station? So the process goes by who do I want to reach and how can I reach them? So to target an audience, we start by that analysis of who's my client? Are they driving on Route 9? Are they driving on Route 22? Are they commuting on the train station? And then based on that, we find different ways to target that audience. And I think that kind of holds true for everybody, but it really starts with understanding who your client is and what the value of that client is.
Is there a type of business, though, or a category of business that does better with outdoor?
So on the larger scale, you see a lot of direct-to-consumer brands, meaning people that are selling directly to the consumer, like Dollar Shave Club and stuff. And that's also a big trend that you see. But we see every type of client out there. It's really about, I'd say, business to consumer, meaning as opposed to business, tend to be the ones that it makes a lot more sense to. It's very easy for them to either calculate a return on investment or no, I want to connect with this community. This is where I do a lot of business, so this is great. I'd love to get that billboard so people see me every day.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. And this is a sensitive question, but I have to ask it because it's the question everybody probably poses to you all the time. Is print dead?
Thank you, Liz. It is in some places. It really is. On the national scene, you've read about it. Maybe not in print, but you've read about it. The numbers, on dailies, it's the big advertisers are pulling back because they find that sometimes, they'll find digital with the responses is cheaper to go.
Westfair, and when I say Westfair, I'm talking about WAG magazine and the Business Journal. So let me just be clear on that. But I'm probably going to be talking more about the business journals. We have a mission in Westchester and Fairfield, which is to provide local business news. We are not trying to do anything else. We're not doing weather, we're not doing obituaries. We might be doing business obituaries, but we just do one thing. And that niche market has allowed us to penetrate that field. So in terms of the business journals, print is not dead at all. And in preparation of today's panel, I've been doing a lot of research, you know, in terms of thinking a little worried that somebody out there in the audience may ask me that question, not knowing it was going to be you. But thank you. You're always prepared. Is that there was a poll done, 8,000 people were polled across Brazil, the UK, the United States, and France, and people trust print. When they're making a decision about buying a product, 82% of them say printed material is what they trust. The other thing about print is that it touches so many of your senses, and your senses turned into emotions. So your sense of smell. Like I pick up the New York Times every day, the Wall Street Journal, the Business Journal, and there's a smell to newsprint. There's a feel to newsprint, and you see it. It's 3 senses. And those senses can convert into making an emotional decision. With that being said, you know, I think of someone like Fuji. You know, years ago, people would go to the film store and get all of their pictures, their 24 pictures, you know, made onto printed paper, and they're not doing that anymore because they're going to Shutterfly, they're getting their 1 picture out of 24 that they like, and they're making that 1 copy. And so Fuji had to reinvent themselves. So Fuji decided to go into medical digital imagery. So now they're working with all the medical field. People have to transform. So Westfair, we haven't lost our mission. We're still putting out print. People are still subscribing. It's great. However, we also have gone into the event space. We have a lot of events each year that people like to connect face to face. We have a strong website. We're doing podcasts. We're doing videos. I've been to ribbon cuttings. You've been there, Liz. We've been at ribbon cutting events for the business community in Westchester. And trust me when I tell you, we are the only media source there. Because there's not a lot out there. And I think of Bezos. I think of the Washington Post. The tagline is awesome. Democracy dies in darkness. The Business Journal's new one. One of my advertisers, clients, came up to me at a function like this and said, we love your new tagline. Print journalism, because print still matters. It's key. We have a niche market, we have a mission, and when we listen to our advertisers, what their needs are, sometimes we're the right thing. And an honest rep or publisher is going to say, yes, we can help you, or no, we cannot. One of my favorite stories is before we had WAG magazine, we didn't have a retail product. We really didn't. And somebody called me. They were going to open a retail store in Rye, and they wanted to use, you know, they were just doing some investigative work. And I said, we're not the right place for you. And they totally respected the fact that I was honest with them, and I sent them to a competitor. So I think you have to listen to what your mission is, what's your marketplace, and we can solve your problems and increase your business. And if we can't, we'll lead you to someone else who can. Thank you, Anne, so much. And we're so glad the Westfair is still so successful here in Westchester. It's a key part of our community for sure. David, so there's always a question out there. Video is so expensive. Do people have to, number one, hire a professional to always do their videos successfully? A, and B, how expensive does it have to be?
Great question, Liz. So, back years ago, it was always only professional video. But because of social media, which was talked about, because of smartphones, the internet, social media platforms, and all of the social media platforms now being able to create video and share video, we encourage clients to be doing their own videos. So you can go from the gamut, from creating video for $0 to spending, $10,000, $15,000. So it really depends what you're trying to do. So if you are a nonprofit and you're producing a gala video, you're probably not going to want to do that with your iPhone and kind of wing it. This is, for nonprofits, that is the event of the year. They're going to raise 50% of their money. And so you want to be strategic about when you invest with a professional. If you're talking about content you're going to be sharing on social, or you're talking about video ads, I didn't mention video ads. Video ads is very powerful today, whether you're talking about Facebook, Instagram. A lot of businesses here probably don't know that you can advertise on YouTube. YouTube, the first 30 seconds is free, so you have free branding opportunities out there. I know we have the opportunity to skip after 5 seconds, but you could be creating that content yourself. So you really want to understand what is the goal of that video, who's the audience you're speaking to, and what is your objective. And by knowing that, you'll have a better idea of whether you want to hire a professional or you're going to want to maybe try to do some content on your own.
And from a price point, what are we, for our audience,
Sure.
their knowledge,
So,
what are we looking at?
Yeah, so you can on the professional side, we have a product we call Remote Video Testimonials, which is our kind of our entry-level product for getting video testimonials from clients. That, you can get that, that's $600. We'll produce gala videos, sometimes in excess of $10,000. So the gamut is far. Typically, a video, like a marketing video for your website. So you have one chance on a first impression, and your website is typically where someone's going to go. So you want to make sure that that video that's on that website represents you in the strongest way possible. And that's where you're going to probably want to use a professional video, and that's probably going to be around the $5,000, $6,000 range. Again, you can find kids out of school, and you can spend considerably more, but that's roughly where you're going to be.
That's so helpful as a median point for us. Elena, I wanted to ask you, we were talking about the customer journey before, and social media is so much right now a part of the customer journey. How do you see social media, for the people in the audience, integrating into their overall marketing plans?
That's a great question. I think one of the trends that we're seeing with kind of innovative marketers is first to step back and understanding that our job as people in business, as business owners, is to fall in love with our customer or client, not with our product or service. And so if you subscribe to that, then, and you fall in love with the person who's paying you, then you understand you have to hit them where they are. We have a very engaged audience. People are leaning in. I see eyes. A lot of times you're seeing heads because they're down at phones. So if you acknowledge that you can go to even Disney World now and see people staring at their phones in Disney World, the happiest place on earth, arguably, right? Then you understand the power of that device. And so our agency does more than social, but we have to stay in our lanes. We have the experts here across different areas. So I'm going to get hit with a lot of social questions, but the truth is that integration is the name of the game. When you go to the website, it should look like the Facebook page, and it should feel like the Twitter feed, and it should look like that Instagram feed. Everything should feel connected. If you get a piece of print, we love print, sorry, I read real books, and I don't think it's dead. And in a couple of years, we're all going to be wearing bell-bottoms again. So we have to understand that kind of trends are cyclical, right? So let's not kill print, sorry. I love digital, but let's not do it. Let's understand that there's a time and a place for everything. So I think social, the value is that we're all walking around with this thing in our pocket, and sometimes we're staring at it too much. So there's a great opportunity for business to maximize that customer touch point.
Excellent, great advice. John, you mentioned before the importance of knowing who your customer is and targeting them through digital and then engaging with them in a meaningful way. So, how do you recommend to our audience here the best way to learn as much as they can about their customer, and then the best way to engage with that customer?
So when I talked about engagement and how data is so available to all of us today, I think what we need to look at is your business, right? So website, you just touched on making sure the website has good creative. Your website is 100% where someone's going to end up and how they're going to engage with your brand. And from that website, there's a lot to be deemed, right? A lot of information on the back end, right? So everyone knows Google Analytics. I'm sure other people who maybe use, if you're more sophisticated, you have Adobe, you have different platforms that you're looking at your data, right? So when we look, when at Reach Local or at any digital, anyone you're talking to in digital should be talking to on both sides of the fence. One is, how do we go and we find your customers, whether it's through data, if someone's they have a need, they go to Google, right? Google, everyone goes to Google for something, but people only spend about 3 seconds on Google. They leave Google and they go and they find content, right? So everyone's talking about content. They're talking about branded content from Westfair. They're talking about all different places that they might engage with you, right? But at the end of the day, where do you want them to go? You want them to go to your website, right? So right now, your website has data in it that you're probably not even looking at, right? So has someone gone into your Google Analytics and really done a deep dive, right? Setting it up. So Google Analytics, as free as it is, just make sure you understand that Google's reading your data, right? It's free for a reason. Just like all the apps on your phone. So every time you open one of those free apps, then I buy the data and I know who you are and I have to target you even in your home, right? And reach your audiences. That's what data is doing today, right? So anyone who thinks that they're hiding, you're not, right? There's no way of hiding. Even if you go off the grid, somehow we're going to find you because there's a plot line on your house and we're going to be able to target you somehow. But at the end of the day, really, Elizabeth, what we like to talk about, what I like to talk about with my customers is, before we think about the journey and what we think the journey is let's go see what the journey actually is currently. So on the back end of Google Analytics, there's something called goal conversion set, right? And you can put tags on the back end of your website that'll show every single engagement with your website, how somebody got there. Now, it also shows how many times they came to your website and from where. They may come from branded content. They may have come from social. They could come from video from somewhere. You don't know, right? So rather than guessing today, where, back in the day, we're like, and I did radio for 20 years. So, we're going to buy a radio ad, we're going to buy a TV ad, we're going to buy this, we're going to just brand ourselves. Now, yes, you still need to do some branding, but use what you have. Use your website, right, and the back end of your website right now to understand how your customers engage with you, right? So don't make your marketing decisions based on things that you think or things that other people tell you. Look at the data, right? Now, is it going to be complete? Of course not, because if they read a newspaper, part of USA Today, we have, with the new acquisition, well over 300 dailies, right? We still print, right? But there's still engagement. It's either on print, they're going to be reading it through digital, they're going to come to your website if they see something they like, right? So talk to your customer through that method, right? See how they're engaging. And, one of our, a large hospital group that we're working with, and I can't really talk about who they are right now, but, one of the things is we went in and set up these goal tags, and we just conversion tags just to see one of their 9 websites, right? And then we got so much data because they have a lot of traffic, but within a week, we started to see that most people, especially on a healthcare website, engage with that site at least 10 times before they ever make a phone call, right? So each business is going to be a little different. But know what that data is, know how the data responds to your customer, and then use it for the building blocks of your marketing plan, right? And then engage with your customers where they are, right? We don't have to all be great marketers anymore, right? A good agency is going to build your brand, they're going to have great messaging, and then take that messaging directly to the consumers where they are and how they're engaging with you.
And I think that is so key, and if you look at the folks on the panel here today, each one of them on that customer journey, if you know who your customer is, you know where they live, you know what their habits are, you know where they shop, you can use outdoor and print and digital and of course video and as you mentioned the branding and social media to touch those people on their journey. But the key is getting to know who they are.
Exactly. Everyone's going to engage with your brand in different ways, right? So the goal though is we're not going to build marketing plans for each person. Now, with the data, it's available for us to actually, we don't have anyone here from the cable companies, but, in today's video world of OTT.
OTT, which is over the top.
So CTV, OTT is basically just the delivering of video content in different ways. OTT is on your big screen TV, CTV is on our phones, a lot of it's consumed on our phones. But we could all be sitting here and have different views of the world, and each be watching the same show, and each get a different ad, right? So you can target that way as well. But yes, you really need to start thinking about is how that data is engaging with everyone.
And laser focus on your message.
Laser focus.
And then, turning to you, Chris, video, as we all know, attention spans are shorter and shorter, and every time I hear the new length of a video, it gets shorter and shorter, and I think it's 8 seconds now is the attention span for a video to actually capture someone. So how do our businesses in the audience tell their stories effectively in 8 seconds through video?
Well, I'd have to argue with you there. I think it's more like 3. But yeah, the attention span is so fragmented, and the devices that people use is also fragmented. So you really have to, when you're making a video, you have to know not only who you're talking to, but what devices they're using, and you have to optimize your video to that device. The same video that works on YouTube is not going to work on Instagram. So basically, to answer your question, we use intelligence the best we can and data to understand our customer. And I think a really good example of how we do that is with our performance video. We work with Glossier, and every couple of months we'll do a big shoot. We'll generate a lot of content, different models, different actions that they're doing, work with different copy on screen. And if you picture like a funnel, we start with testing, A/B testing with one batch of video, and we wean it down to like the highest performing video, and then we iterate and we scale it. And that's what Quickframe's pretty much our mantra is that we use intelligence first, and then we scale, and we keep doing it. So it's really like a continuous process. I wouldn't say it ever really starts or stops, because you can always perform better. And at Quickframe, we don't do media buying, so we're kind of telling half the story, but when you combine the two, you can really be effective.
And that's so key. I think what we used to have to do in days past is test market a brand, and Elena knows this, we all know this, where you'd have to test market the effectiveness of an ad or a brand message, and you have to go out and you'd have to do test marketing and focus groups, and now all you have to do is create the ad, push it out on social, and see which one gets the most clicks. And as long as you're targeting your right customer and you see which one's resonating, you don't have to spend all that money anymore. It's research. It's constant research. Ronnie, so metrics, and everybody's talking about here measuring the effectiveness of your ad. How it used to be, I think it was Mr. Gimbel at Gimbel's department store had a very famous saying. I know that half the advertising that I do is useless. The problem is I don't know which half. So those days are long past. Now we can measure everything, and so you heard from our panel, and we're going to get more. We're going to get deeper into that. But when it comes to outdoor, can you tell us how you measure the success of a campaign that you've done in outdoor? How we might do that, and if you have a success story and an example you'd like to share, please do so.
Sure. So obviously it's individual to the campaign and the customer, but with outdoor, if you want to reach a specific population, it actually can do that. And going back to John's data points, if you say I want to reach a particular population in a particular city, we can tell you how many billboards or which billboards you have to buy to reach what percentage of people. And that is something that's done more and more today, right? It's not exactly programmatic in terms of the way you're delivering the ads, but it is designed to say if I want to reach, for example, a Hispanic population in one community or an older population in a different community and so on and so forth, we can design a plan that actually tells you exactly what that is. So to answer your question about an example some are very sophisticated, right? And depends on the message, and that's where great agencies that work on creative come in. Is the goal to get people to the website? Then you should be able to see an uptick in website traffic. And what is really important in terms of testing, and Chris mentioned A/B testing, is making sure that you know where things are coming from. So you mentioned we work a lot with PBS Channel 13. It's a great client to work with. I love it because it's a great cause and great messaging. And when they launch streaming apps for specific channels, that's what they look at. They specifically look at app downloads, traffic to the website, because their message is very clear, and I think that's where some advertisers can make a mistake. You can't be everything to everyone, not in that particular message. So, Mark Cuban says perfection's the enemy of profitability, and you don't want to be so vague in your message that people think you do everything. When you run a campaign, you want to be very specific. So if your goal is to connect with the community, as many of our real estate clients do, that's their goal. Their number one goal is, if somebody was taking the train from a particular train station, would they know their name? And they test that, and they get a lot of feedback from friends. On a sophisticated level, yes, you can look at specific website traffic. I want to mention one of the things people ask me all the time: should I change the phone number? Should I put QR codes or anything else? Well, you can, but most people, the behavior is, they're going to Google it, right? So when they see an ad, unless they're sitting in front of something like at the airport, where they have a lot of time, they're going to likely Google it, right? So you can measure it in a number of different ways, but it comes down to understanding what the goal of the campaign is.
Yeah, and I just want to pause for a minute, because I remember what I really love working with you, Ronnie, and Outdoor is there have been times where a client has said, I've seen billboards by MGM, Empire City Casino, there's Jordan-Duffy, and I've seen billboards out there. Well, I have a plumbing company, and I want people to call me up on the phone, and I say to them, Outdoor is not your medium to do that. If you're looking for people to pick up a phone and call you, then don't go to Outdoor. And what I love about working with Inspiria is you'll make sure that you're upfront and tell a client, that's not the right message for Outdoor.
Absolutely. You need to know exactly what your goals are, and your message needs to be very, very clear. And the last thing I'll leave you with is everything you do out there needs to elevate your brand. So it's not about, can I discount, can I offer? Forget about all that stuff. It's really, whatever I put out there is elevating my brand. If it's elevating your brand, then it's money well spent.
Absolutely. And quick question for you. In the old world of advertising in print, there used to be a very clear wall between editorial and advertising, and you never bridged that. But in this world of pay-to-play and sponsored content, is that still true? What would you tell our audience in terms of how to approach print?
The wall is completely still there. I had a law firm call me, and they said, okay, we want to do an ad. Oh, really? Great. Okay. Why all of a sudden now? Oh, because they're going to cover us in a story in your business publication. And I said, I don't know that. And if some big story comes out tonight, it's going to get bumped. So I don't want you buying an ad because you think you're going to get a story. There's definitely a wall. I don't even talk to the writers. I can direct things in the right direction in terms of coverage. However, how have we gotten around that? There are, if any of you get the editorial calendars from me, and if any of you in the audience if you don't get the business, how many people get the business journals? Raise your hands. Oh, that's a good, fair, okay. If those of you who did not raise your hand, if you would like to get a comp subscription of the business journals and/or WAG, let me know, see me afterwards.
Good marketing.
And it is a lot about relationships, but I will say, we have an accounting firm who used to do advertising, just straight advertising. They've morphed over the years, and they've decided to do a column. Now that column now precedes itself, because now I'll go into meetings and people will say, Ann, I want to do something like so-and-so does, like an advertorial component. That's how we've gotten around it. But in terms of, people calling and saying, I have a story, I say to them, you have to pitch the story to the editors.
That's great. Still
because,
there.
without integrity, we have nothing.
Absolutely.
And so thanks for the question.
Well said. Well said. David, what would you say is the biggest mistakes people make when they're going to shoot a video for their business?
So I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see is someone will make a video and then try to figure out, what do I do with the video after the fact? So it's really important, if you're thinking of investing time and energy and money in a video, to have a strategy, to have a plan, to know why you're creating that content in the first place. and you want to know what audience you're talking to. Many people who are making video content kind of make video for the masses, and when you make it for everyone, you make it for no one. So it's really important to understand the audience. The other thing is understanding where you're going to distribute that content and not leveraging it. So you might make a piece of content that you're making as a video blog for your website, but you forget to share it on social media. So you need to be leveraging it across all those platforms. One of the other things with making a video is a lot of businesses, whether they're paying and investing a professional like myself to make video, or they're doing it themselves, is we were talking about a lot of talk about data. Well, YouTube analytics is huge. There's tremendous data there. You have Google Analytics, which was talked about, is understanding what the results are from that. And video, as well as any of the marketing strategies that anyone is doing here, is an iterative process. It's test and measure. And it's really important to look at that data. If you make a 3-minute video and people are popping out of that video after a minute, you need to start figuring out, why is that happening? Is it the messaging? Am I just losing them? I need to fix the creative and do it again? Or am I just taking way too long to tell that story? We talked about 3 seconds before. So you might want to tighten that message. So businesses need to understand the data. They need to look at their videos. They need to make sure they're leveraging it. And they just need to have that strategy on how to get the best results.
Great advice, great advice. Elena, we talked about the importance of metrics, and do you have a particularly great branding story you'd like to share with us in terms of metrics and success for one of your clients that you could share with the audience?
Sure. So, you know, not to get too much into the business because I want to add value to the audience, I'll say that we do have a couple of hospital clients in the Westchester area that actually they're a large health system, actually not based mostly in Westchester, but they talk to us in Westchester because we know Westchester. And Westchester is not Long Island, for instance. It's a different dynamic. We need to be targeted effectively. So I think we had a hospital, we went in to talk to them. Of course, we do a full debrief in our due diligence and understanding what they were currently doing across everything. Social, I'll give you because, you know, I'm talking a lot about that. We were looking at their platform, and I walked into the marketer, it was very friendly, and I knew had a sense of humor, so I could say this. I said, does your hospital have a connection with Apple's? And, you know, I understand that Apple's and health are connected. And she said, I'm sorry, what? And I said, does your hospital have a connection with Apple's? Because I counted about 5 apples on your feed, and some were back to back, and sometimes it was the same apple. And you're a hospital, and you're doing amazing things. People come to be born and to die in your space, and you're showing apples. Missed opportunity. And she's like, oh my God. And she trusted her agency to give her a feed that represented what that hospital means in that community. We're not all, you know, New York Presbyterian with these big dollars. Some of these hospitals are fighting in very competitive markets now. We have the White Plains hospitals and the Westchester Medical Centers, which you know intimately. They have to differentiate themselves in a real way. And so their feed needs to kind of support that, if you will. So our agency went in and, you know, we created a creative platform for them on social that represents what the hospital's actually doing and what it stands for. And we'll monitor sometimes, and the best feedback we'll get is, you know, because that also connects to the website. And we believe in authentic photography. We hate stock. It's just our philosophy. And so we'll get a message that says, it was the coolest thing today. Walked into your hospital, and the person that met me at the front desk was the person I saw on the website. And like, then we'll walk in the hospital, and they're like, I feel like a celebrity. People are seeing. And so that connection is the opportunity right now, where web and print and social can all represent the brand consistently. So there's a connection when they interface with your brand in all of these ways. So
Great
that's
example.
kind of what we fight for, is that integrated approach. So that no matter where you see us, if it's an ad in a journal, right, or on social, or on the web, that it's all the same brand and it feels consistent.
Brand identity.
Sure.
Excellent point. Hey, John, I would love you to talk a little bit about retargeting and geofencing and I don't know, are you all familiar with geofencing, retargeting? Why don't you talk a little bit about that for our audience in general terms?
Okay. Before I go there, I think just listening to the panel, right? There's one thing that we really need to look at, right? Is what are our consumers doing, right? They're surfing, they're searching, and they're socializing, right? You're hearing it from all of us, right? So when you surf, search, and socialize, you as a brand need to be able to engage your customers there. You know, we're talking about paid media, a lot of paid media. One of the areas that I think that small businesses forget is organic, right? And organic changes all the time. Google changed their algorithm last year 700 times as to how your brand on your website is engaging organic audiences, right? And if you look at the first page of Google, and I'll get to your question in a second, but this one thing I just want to you look at the first page of Google, right, at the top of the ads, top 4 positions are ad spots. You're going to get, if you're really, really good, without your brand name, because some media companies will buy your brand, and you should buy your brand, you might get a 10 or 15% click-through rate at the top, but really somewhere between, Google will say anything better than 1 is good, but really you're looking at like 2 to 4% click-through at that top. If you're a local brand and you look at the map section, if you show up. Now, the reason why you're not showing up is you haven't claimed your Google My Business page, you're not doing listings, people don't know who you are in the local marketplace. Another thing that's really important, every one of your brands, your branches, whatever it is, has to have the right information for Google to drop you in that map, right? And it's not just claiming your Google My Business, it's part of your organic structure, how you go about it. Below the map, guys, the first 4 positions in Google, 85% of all clicks on Google happen in those 4. So as we think about surf, searching, and socializing, we think about ads, we're going to talk about retargeting and geofencing. The other thing that's really, really important is the organic structure of your website. I'm not going to get into the particulars, but I'm happy to talk about it after, but it's how Google is indexing the content on your site, how people are engaging that content, right? How your consumers, how it's built is your website have the proper structure behind it. So if you're doing all this advertising and not seeing really good results, the first thing I would ask you is, well, let's look at your website. How well is it? Because that's the gateway to your business, right? We all built websites, and I was in the first .com bubble, and I lived in San Francisco in the 90s. I went to school there, right? So the whole explosion, and it slowly came back, but now everybody has a website, and that's where we want everyone to go. We spend a lot of money and time there. So just think about, when you're thinking about your marketing, right, we're talking about paid media, you got to think about your offline. You got to think about, the organic side of that. You get into retargeting. Great, retargeting's great. If you spend money to bring somebody to your website, why wouldn't you remarket to them? 98% of people that go to your website the first time do nothing. You spend all this money getting them there, and then they leave, and they're off, think about, we have 3 seconds on video, so 3-second video, what do you think the attention span is for anything these days? Phone rings, kid calls us, someone sends a text, got something going on, you forget. So retargeting is really important.
And maybe we could, and for those of you who don't know what that is, what it means is if they click on your website and you pay, you can't have that ad follow them again, follow that person once they've been to your site. And you've all seen it. If you go on to look at a DSW, and you're suddenly saying, why am I suddenly being served an ad from DSW when I went to their website? Well, that's because they retargeted you, and they are going to come after you again and again and again.
And retargeting's done in a lot of ways, right? That's a tag on your website. Social, you need a social tag because Facebook is a closed network, right? So if you're doing Facebook advertising, you're bringing people from Facebook onto your website, you must be running retargeting for Facebook. So when they get there, you can follow them back on Facebook as they're engaging again, right? So there's a lot of ways of doing it. We call it targeted display, right? So when you look at targeted display, it's engaging the customer everywhere. Retargeting can be done on a pixel. It could be keyword based. So I'm going back to data. I want to buy data on people who did searches for my business yesterday, and I want to serve them an ad now. I'm retargeting them, but I'm retargeting them based on searches they did and went to other people's websites. There's a lot of ways of targeting people. There's a lot of content out there.
And we could, and I know time is running short, and I want to get to some Q&A, but I mean, we could spend a whole session talking about retargeting and geofencing, and which is another fascinating piece of capturing people who are in a certain place. at a certain moment in time. Chris, I wondered if you could just share quickly before we go to some Q&A here, if you could share a success story you're particularly proud of with regards to Quickframe or maybe something you did with Yonkers or Nourishout.
Okay, I'll tell you two examples real quick. One that has to do with our production capacity and one that has to do with our speed. We work with Bloomberg, and Bloomberg has a social media platform called QuickTake, and it basically is for digestible videos 24/7. Their in-house team actually could not handle the volume of videos that they needed, so they partnered with us, and we not only devised a couple of different templates, but we're able to make 500 videos, each with a turnaround time of under 2 hours, and only for a couple $100. So if you're a small business, not-for-profit, all the way up to a large brand, there's never enough, there's always a need for video, and there's always challenges around production capacity. Two is speed. Uber's like one of our largest clients, and they were having a really hard time with their reputation with drivers and safety. And I don't know if you guys remember in South Carolina, that student that got into the wrong Uber. Well, that was like a national incident. They came to us, and in 3 days, our creator network was able to turn around 3 one-minute animations, basically their Check Your Ride campaign, and they were really pleased with that. So those were two success stories, I'd say.
Excellent, excellent. We have time for a couple of questions. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yeah, Michael, why don't you stand up and tell us your question?
Sure. Michael Haberman, this isn't meant for a setup list, but it's going to sound like it. So I'm listening to 6 really amazing options, and I'm feeling like as a business owner, now I have to call like 6 people and manage all this different stuff. So it's not a setup, but is that where like an agency like yours comes in, where you create
Well,
the
I
overall
cannot,
plan?
yes, I can honestly say, and Elena probably too, but we do media buying and planning, and all the people seated here on this stage, we have worked with for our clients, and the answer is yes, and Elena could probably do that too.
Yeah, I think, it seems overwhelming, right? I think if you're sitting in the audience, maybe some of this is new to you. I think it's clearly relationship-based and networking, kind of learning. There might be, we have partners, we can do everything. Does that mean we have a person sitting in our agency that does every single thing? No, I'm not gonna lie. We're really smart in what they do. And so I think finding that partner who can bring it all together for you is maybe a better way to look at it than, oh my God, I need 6 strategic partners. Does
Right.
that make sense? So that's kind of the way we model with our clients.
That's a good way to put it. It's like we're your hired marketing team, and we can put together a media plan for you. And Debbie Pizzino in my audience does a great job doing that. The audience here today. Another question, yes?
So, you want to tell us your name? Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy. So,
Wendy Wallner.
Totally, we're seeing a good success with trade shows, and I know no one here talked about like that idea of marketing, but who does?
Trade shows,
Yeah, I mean,
like activations, where that's absolutely a touch point
of which?
Well, we do that. I don't know if Elena does that, and Ann does that at Westfair with her event, where you're actually touching face to face. It's again that customer journey. If you know where your customers are and you want to be at an important trade show, and I know the Business Council of Westchester has an amazing opportunity coming up with their trade show.
Right, I'll plug it right now. So we have the Westchester Business Expo, which is the largest trade show in the area. But when people ask, "Oh, should I be there?" It's like, how can you not be there, right? So forget about even how many clients I can get, but why wouldn't you be in front of the places where your clients and competitors are? So to your answer about trade shows, regardless of who does them, I think if you know there's an industry you're targeting and you know your clients are going to be there, why would you not invest time and money to be there every single time?
And who's the agency that actually helps design? What type
Well,
of marketing?
Well, actually, from a PR perspective, we do that all the time for our clients, and I don't know if Elena's done this, but we've actually created trade booths for clients, designed trade booths that are on brand, and then we staff it and
If I can just jump in here too, Wendy, is that based on the needs of our clients, we have actually come up with trade show events with the business journals and WAG magazine. So we have a big real estate event coming up where a lot of developers will be there, and there will be probably a handful, there will be a number of marketing tables there, so people wanting to get into the real estate space in front of them. We have the Doctors of Distinction, we have C-Suites, we have 40 Under 40 in Fairfield. We partner with Marcia and the Business Council in Westchester. We have the Millennial Awards. The Family-Owned Business Awards will be a big trade show at 11:33 at the end of this month. That's all marketing tables. So there's plenty,
Right.
and it came out of needs.
Yeah, and
Let me
what
just,
other-
if I could just jump in really quick. So from a creative execution, planning, get the booth designed, we can, Cabinard does that. I think the coolest part about trade shows, if done well right now, is it includes video. Our trade show booths have screens and print materials and pens and newsletters and animations. So really, the trade show booth of tomorrow is not just one thing. which
Yeah,
is why this is
absolutely,
really
Elena.
interesting.
And Chris, did you want to?
Yeah, coming from a technology company, but a background in government and serving the public and a family of politicians, nothing will ever replace, no technology will ever replace that human interface.
But the other thing too, in the digital side, we didn't touch on the geofencing, but like you could, and I did this for, I have a boat company from the south, and we went and I did a geofence campaign around every boat show in the United States, right? So anyone who went to any boat show, we tagged their mobile phone. 98% of all people have the location on your phone, so we're able to tag you, right? And then serve in-app advertising directly to everyone who went. And we actually were able to go back with that client, and they were able to look at exactly where that client came from in that those trade shows, and we sold about 60 boats.
Yeah.
You know what the cost of boats are. That's a big deal for them.
And
And
that's
they're
a-
renewed for this year.
That's-
When you think about it, is use those trade shows for other things than just, you're trying to touch everyone, there's a lot of people there. Use technology, put a geofence over the top of that, and serve ads to every single person. Yes, you're gonna serve ads to the people that were there as well, or the other businesses, but serve ads to those people for 30, 60, 90 days.
And we absolutely do that. In fact, for a client who's actually in the room today, targeting healthcare professionals and going to AMA conferences, etc. Do we have one last question? Do you want to stand up and tell us your name?
Hi, my name's Rob Pizzella. Good morning. Great panel, a lot of good insights. I heard Google a lot. I haven't heard TikTok, which my kids talk about all the time.
TikTok.
Maybe I missed it. And I didn't hear like Facebook, Instagram, some of those other Twitter. Was that are they just kind of behind the scenes more, or do you see them as taking advantage of this next kind of evolution?
I mean, I'll talk about TikTok, but the video guys can talk more. From what I know of TikTok, the ad serving platform isn't really there yet, right? So it's not really, you can use it, but how you can measure it is going to be really difficult. But as far as Instagram, when we talked about social, when you think about Facebook, Instagram is owned and it's part of that Facebook platform, Twitter as well. So, I talked a little bit about Google because that's where everyone goes to find you finally, but we talked about is the journey, right? And that journey includes all of those assets. I don't want to go into the TikTok conversation yet. I mean, my stepdaughter does nothing but dance around the house all day long when she sees a video on TikTok, and I want to make sure it can't be served on the phone anymore. But outside of that, it's that there are a lot of new platforms coming up, and I'm sure the ad platforms. Everyone was saying Snapchat and others were going to be there, and they just never really achieved the goals of a Twitter or Facebook and Instagram. But there's definitely other stuff out there and other ways of targeting and using video and content. So definitely it's there, and it's definitely something you should be looking at. Twitter is a fantastic place to do a lot of different messaging and capabilities, and it all should tie back to your website, because we talked about organic, right? Organic, a lot of times, content you're creating on Twitter will show up in those 4 positions on Google. for you to create more content. So
And
we're
it
going to get
could-
really into the deep parts.
And
of the
paid,
process.
and paid social is huge, as we all know.
Paid social.
Paid
is
social.
huge, yeah.
Not just organic social. Well, we are closing. I'm going to have Marcia say a final farewell, but I just want to thank all of you. I mean, we could have gone on for a half-day session here, diving even deeper into this. Let's give our incredible panelists a round of applause. Thank you so much.
I join the applause to all of you. What a great panel. And Liz, as always, you did such a fabulous job moderating this. Thank you. And I just want to say, as I look around the room, you know, it's really hard to put together a panel. We've had other marketing panel that other marketing professionals in the BCW have been on. But we do have many marketing professionals that partner together through the BCW. So just raise your hand if you are in the marketing business. Great, thank you. So as you see, there's a lot of resources here. And a lot of resources at the BCW, and fabulous up here. And our trade show is March 26th, and right, Ronnie? And see Ronnie, see Amanda De Palma, see Linda, if you're interested. We have a lot going on at the BCW coming up in the next few weeks and months, and we look forward to seeing you there. And I love what someone said, Chris, I think you said it, that it's building the relationships. It's that face-to-face. Absolutely. Everything else is very important, but it's what happens here when you're sitting and having a cup of coffee and tea and a bite of pineapple with someone that it really develops that relationship. So have a great day, everyone. Happy Friday. Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Thank you.
And that was a session at the Business Council of Westchester, the Business Power Breakfast that was sponsored by Tompkins Mahopac Bank, based in Brewster, New York, and we had a chance to talk with one of their executives today. And the session was entitled, Are You Ready for Marketing 2020? Again, our appreciation to attend the event and do a video for you to Marcia Gordon, the CEO of Business Council of Westchester, and John Rabbits, our good friend there, who we often see at WVOX. He does a show just before me every Monday afternoon. For CBSIServices Talking Business, this is Ken Kraetzer.